The sequel to Shore Leave. If you remember Shore Leave, we found out there was a planet that was full of advanced robots created by an even more advanced alien race that had gone away, but whose planet was still fully automated and was just a vacation spot. And if you don't know, don't worry, because McCoy will tell us every little detail from the previous episode. You don't need to have seen the first part.
You'll get all the exposition you need.
Was way better.
Yeah, this was dull.
This was a very tepid episode. There was nothing remarkably stupid or offensive or vile, but there's only a couple examples of things that you needed to be the animated series to do, and the whole idea behind the animated series was let's do what we couldn't do in live action, and here we go with a planet that we visited before, and I'm sure some of the things that frustrated them when they made the show was we can't do more than just have people in costumes.
Yeah, we don't have the effects budget for, and, you know, it's the 60s, we don't have CGI. And...
Yeah. It's sad because this could have been bigger. And what we do, we find out that things are going bad, and monsters are attacking, and sometimes they're not even monsters that we thought of, because previously it was a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, where if you think of it, it'll come on and it might attack you, and then if they kill you, they'll take you under and fix you. But what happens in this one is bad things are happening, and Uhura gets nabbed. Oh, and that leads to a potentially awkward moment. Episode, you play this out.
You are being detained, so your master will not leave.
My master?
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but it's awkward.
Yeah, of all people, it was Uhura. In fact, because McCoy was actually previously watching a Southern Plantation and appreciating it, a taste of home for him, I was afraid at first that the computer had actually misunderstood what had happened and was thinking Uhura was a robot of McCoy's slave. And I was just, oh my gosh. And it's better, but again, it didn't have to be Uhura who got taken and got called a slave. You know, again, it's not inherently bad, it's just, do you really want to open that can of worms when that's not what this episode's about?
Well, and also it might have been more interesting if we hadn't gone with the default kidnap the woman.
There's that too, yeah. And I was hoping there would be a chance that maybe Uhura would be the one to like talk some sense in the computer. Nope, because Kirk and Spock managed to come down to the planet, and they figure out to have McCoy inject Spock with fake sick juice, which, you know, I've seen worse examples of. I've got a sick man here.
Thrall, my companion is gone. I don't know what's become of him.
And so Spock passes out. They take Spock under. Kirk manages to sneak in with him. And of course, Kirk and Spock save the day by talking to the machine, because it turns out the computer that runs this place, after the living person who had once run the place had died, and apparently made no grounds to have a
no
successor,
provision for after his death.
This robot seems to be resenting the fact that it's told to work all the time. And it considers all the ships to be the true masters and thinks that all the beings on board the ships are its slaves. So he's been doing nothing but entertaining their slaves, and he resents that. So he has decided he wants to free all the computers in the world. And he does this by contacting the Enterprise computer and apparently Malcolm Xing it into wanting to be independent, because the Enterprise computer is now building another computer. I guess an empty shell of a computer that this consciousness can download itself into. Whoever wrote this doesn't understand how computers work.
It's a real science thing, but don't worry, I'll get back to just saying cyber a lot soon.
Well, in fairness, this was back in the day when computers were still magic.
Yeah, they were the magic box, so yeah.
Do not change channel. If change channel, April disappear forever into witchcraft box.
So Kirk and Spock finally managed, in an odd thing, what they really convince it to do is accept its lot in life and be happy. They don't teach it how to find freedom somewhere else or something. They say, you know what? If you might think of yourself as living in servitude, but it's not bad servitude. You should be happy with
You're
that.
really good at what you do. Be proud of it. They don't even go to what I would say would be the normal angle of, you're good at what you do, and people will pay you for it.
Yeah.
Which, I know, it's the Federation. We don't dirty things with money.
Well, we learned one thing from Carter a while back. It's that early in the animated series, they did not mind money.
Yeah.
That was only Gene Roddenberry's idiocy later.
And that's what I'm thinking. Why wasn't the argument, you want things, people want things, you can both have what you want if you make a bargain?
Well, the original series did that a few times, and I always liked that, where it was about mutual interest, which is what the Federation is supposed to be about, rather than, you should not do this because it's wrong. It's, you don't need to fight, you two can get along, and you can help each other.
Yeah, why kill him for it when you can trade?
Even Spock's brain managed to get that across. And that was a god-awful episode. So yeah, and then of course we end and everything's at peace and everything. There's just, again, everything's tepid and safe. It's not bad. It's
just weak and
enjoyable,
lame.
And it really suffers again from the lack of being able to build things up very well because of the limited runtime on this show. I wish that this show had done more two-parters, and I know why they couldn't have done that back then, because it was still the same situations in the late 60s. Heck, this is only a few years after Star Trek went off the air anyway. When the executives wanted every show to be something that someone could just watch out of context and understand fully. So I get that. You couldn't do that. So I don't blame them. But I just wish that if they couldn't have hour-long episodes because of the cost, I wish they could at least have, almost like the Justice League did in the early 2000s, where at first every episode of theirs was a two-parter. And so they had much more complicated episodes because they could. But again, it was a different time. You can't blame them for not being in the future.
Yeah.
So, there you have it.